Hey, my name's James Nicholson and welcome to this video. This video I'm going to talk about how the mortgage bailout works. It's not really called the mortgage bailout. It's called the Support for Mortgage Interest Scheme. I had to look down and just double check that there. So yeah, it's the Support for Mortgage Interest Scheme. It's been around for a while, but it's changed dramatically. And I want to talk today about how this could have a big impact on prices in the market, but more importantly, on helping people keep their houses in these difficult times. Now, before we jump into that, I want to ask you a favor. We're on a journey on this channel to 5,000 subscribers. We've got 3,000 subscribers already, so thank you each and every one of you that has subscribed already. Now, 70% of you that watch our content on a regular basis aren't subscribed, or maybe you're new to the channel right now. We've got new content every single day on what's going on in the market. So take that finger of power, do me a massive favor, spin it round, smash that subscribe button over there and hit the bell notification. It won't cost you a penny and it will really help my channel grow. One last thing as well, quickly take the finger of power again and smash that like button. That will help me get more views on the channel. So, the Support for Mortgage Interest Scheme. Let's quickly talk about this. For mort interest. Right, so this scheme's been around for a while. It's not new, but it's changed quite a lot in the budget the other day. So, historically, how it worked was that if you became unemployed and you were on universal credit, once you'd been on universal credit for 9 months, you could then get a loan from the government where they pay the interest part of your mortgage. Now, there's a problem with that. Probably by 9 months, if you've been on universal credit, you probably haven't kept your payments up. You're probably quite a way through the process of having your house repossessed, unfortunately. So while it was great, it probably wasn't as helpful as it could have been. It just sounded good on paper, right? Now, the other thing was you couldn't earn any additional income. You had to be just solely reliant on universal income. Now, the scheme's changed in the budget last week. Now, you need to have been on universal credit for 3 months before you can apply to have this scheme support you. Now, we've had a ton of comments on yesterday's video, and so I wanted to address a few things that I think people are missing and why I think this scheme is really going to help a ton of people. Now, it may prop up the market, it may not. No one knows for sure. But here's the thing, right? This is a good scheme. A few people in the comments last time said, well, there's no help for renters. Well, that's not true. We've had housing benefit for people on universal credit for a long time. So we've got that scheme already in place for those on universal credit. Now, could that scheme be better? Could this scheme be better? Yes, but at least there is something. A lot of countries, you don't get any support. And so I just think this is a good thing. Is it fair that other taxpayers pay to help people out who can't afford their mortgage? Well, yeah, I think it is, because that's the point of how we run things in the UK, right? That we do help other people. We're not like Americans that say, for example, well, I'm not paying for other people's healthcare. We have an NHS. Again, I'm opening up a can of worms here. It's not perfect, but it's still damn better than what they've got in America, where my family live, where it's very expensive to have healthcare, right? So how this is really considerably better is if you become unemployed, you're on universal credit, and 3 months later, you can now get this scheme. Now, that is quick enough to kick in to potentially support you from getting repossessed. That's a great start. Another thing that happens on this scheme is that you can also earn extra money as well as your universal credit, right? So that you'd have to look into the numbers on that, and I'm sure that's different for people in different scenarios, but you can top it up slightly, which is a good thing, which you couldn't do previously. So that's another benefit of this. Now, other people were commenting yesterday that Okay, well, is it good for someone that hasn't got a job, for example, to get more debt? Well, here's maybe what you missed on that. What will happen is when you're on this scheme, at the end of it, you'll get hopefully a job and things will go back to normal for you, one would hope. You're not suddenly obligated to start paying this debt off, which is a really, really powerful thing, right? You're not obligated to start paying this off, because that would be really tough, wouldn't it? Imagine you're going off universal credit, back into the work, and now you've got to keep your mortgage payments up and you've got this new debt. It doesn't work like that. How it works is the debt is there and that will have a smidge of interest on that. It's really quite low. When the government will get the money back is if you sell your property, but not only that, it's when you sell and don't buy something else, right? So here's a scenario. You own a 2-bedroom house, you now sell the property, you owe the government 20 grand because you used this scheme for a while, you owe the government 20 grand on your debt, but now you're buying a 3-bedroom property. Now do you have to start paying this back? No. If you move from one property and buy another, you don't have to pay it back at that point. The only time where you have to suddenly pay this back is when you move from a property and you don't buy an additional property. That is really, really powerful. So effectively, a ton of people might never pay this back in their lifetime. Now, I don't know what happens upon death. I would imagine that's when the government will get that money paid off. Whoever inherits that property would have to, I guess, have to pay this debt off. That would make sense, right? Because it's not a benefit to them, it's a benefit to the original person. So that's when you would potentially pay this off. And so that is a really, really good thing. Now, here's another scenario that some people missed as well. Now, if you took this debt on, and I've done this in the past, right? So when I had my original property in Dorking, which I still own, I had an iPod accessory business. I'm quite open with this. That business failed and I got £50,000 in personal debt. Not great. Also, some of that debt was registered as a charge against that property, right? So what that means is that they put a physical charge on. So if I ever sold that property, I would have to pay that back. Now, with those debts, I paid those back early, right? So because I wanted to remortgage and get other properties and stuff like that. So I paid those debts off and got those charges removed. However, with this debt, they are the last charge on the property. So say, for example, some car finance does this, right? If you get a car and you've got a property and your credit rating's bad, then they might put a charge on your property just to make sure that you're going to be able to pay that back. Or if you've got a debt that you didn't pay, they might put a charge on your property. And all of these charges will be paid before the government's money. And it even says in the documentation, if, for example, the house was to be sold, then you had to pay back all the other charges, and there was not enough money for the government to get paid back at the end of that, then they would just write off the debt. You don't have to get that personal liability. So these are kind of similar. If you're a business owner, you might know about something called the bounce back loans, right? They were pretty good. They helped us through the pandemic and really supported people. Now, I did see people in the comments saying, this is unfair for taxpayers, this isn't right. I think that even if you're a buy-to-let investor, this will benefit you, because if we look at next year and we say, right, the market is going to go down, if this pads it a little bit, right, even a little bit, even if we say, right, the market was going to go down 30%, now it only goes down 20% because this supports people, then if you're a buy-to-let investor and you already own property, then that's good, because you kept an extra 10% in the equity in your property. So everyone will benefit from this. Look, potentially the government is going to get some more debt because of this, but most of this debt they're going to get back. It's not like housing benefit, for example, where if they pay out housing benefit, to somebody, they don't really get that back, do they? That's just not a thing. Whereas with this, they do have security on it, and at some point they do get paid back. And now they can leverage that debt. I'm not I'm not into like big debt and lending and stuff like that, but there are ways where the government can say, look, here's a load of debt that we're offered, and people will lend them against that, so they can get money back anyway, right? So do let me know what you think about this. Hopefully that's clarified it a little bit more. I think this is a good scheme. I think if we can stop people getting repossessed, brilliant. Like, because some people are going to unfairly lose their jobs, totally out of their control. Maybe their businesses will fail because people won't pay them. All sorts of reasons, right? And let's have less of that if we can. Now, do make sure that you like this video if you didn't earlier. Subscribe and hit the bell. Comment below with your thoughts. I'd love to know more comments from you guys on this. Do check out all the other content on the channel, including this video right here. Bye for now.